That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
All right, guys. First off, very sorry that I was unable to get y'all a video yesterday. I know I said because of how much y'all been smashing that like button, how much y'all been subscribing to the channel, leaving comments, I was going to try to get y'all a video every single day. Well, I was traveling across the country yet again yesterday, and I tried to get someone else to give us a video for y'all, yet we had some technical difficulties, so regardless, we're going to be making a video today. Hopefully the wind is not bad, hopefully the Wi-Fi where I'm at will let me upload it, but I guess y'all know that based on the recording. And yeah, in this video, I'm going to be talking about some players that have started off this season very slow and whether or not we should be panicking or whether or not we should be going out there and trying to buy them in our fantasy basketball leagues. But yeah, let's just get into it. And let's start it off with a player that had a fantastic performance a night ago, but still, if you look at his season-long numbers, it's a little bit slow. And this is going to be Luka. Okay, guys, so I'll be the first one to admit, I was a heavy advocate for drafting Luka in the first round of your drafts this past season. And I really thought the thought process was very straightforward. I mean, we had seen Luka put up some of the most impressive numbers for his age. I mean, this is a player that is multiple years younger than I am. And I'm out here making a fantasy basketball video, and he's dominating LeBron James at the NBA level. I mean, ridiculous. We thought we were going to see another step up. But the storyline is very clear on what has happened to begin Luka's season. We know he came in and he was out of shape. This is very understandable because the fact that he probably had a hard time running 5-on-5 this offseason with everything going on with COVID. So I think we can understand why Luka came in out of shape, but knowing how many minutes he's going to be playing every single night, understanding that he is seeing just a ridiculous usage rate in his own rotation, I think that we are going to have to expect him that he has to play himself into shape within the month. I mean, literally, there's no other solution that would even be possible. Just think of what happened with Joker a season ago. I think we're going to see a very similar thing here with Luka, and we already saw him turning the corner last night. So if you can go out there and purchase him at any discount compared to where he was going in fantasy basketball drafts a few weeks ago, I think that would be something that would be very ideal. All right, guys, so this next player is going to be someone that I advise y'all to avoid in your fantasy drafts this past season, but this is going to be Devin Booker. Okay, with Devin Booker, the reason that we were avoiding him was very simple. I mean, this is a player that gets the majority of his value in fantasy based on scoring points. And we know that generally, if you look at the players that go and fit that prototype, they are overdrafted by the people who don't necessarily understand what matters in fantasy basketball. And with Devin Booker, yes, he is averaging over 20 points a game. The efficiency, honestly, is not even that bad at 49%. But we understand that when he's only averaging 4 rebounds, when he's only averaging 4 assists, and the defensive statistics aren't popping off the page, I mean, it's going to be very hard to rely on a player like that to be giving you elite level usage in terms of just what you're going to be seeing at every single statistical category. And you need him to have, at the very minimum, 28 points per game if we are going to have those other numbers down and you're drafting this player at the very beginning of your fantasy basketball drafts. So I'll say here with Devin Booker, I mean, he's a player that started slow. He's a player that his value is definitely a little bit lower now than it was a week ago. But I still think with Devin Booker, he's a player that I want to avoid. I'm not necessarily saying full-on panic on him, but I think we can safely say that he was most likely overdrafted a month ago. Okay, so talking about a young player who gets the majority of his value from scoring points, let's talk about Donovan Mitchell. Okay, so here with Donovan Mitchell, he was another player that we were avoiding because we know he's going to provide us nothing with rebounds. He's going to provide us very little with assists. His assist numbers are actually a little bit better than I was initially expecting a couple weeks ago, where he's averaging a little over 5 assists, but he's not even giving you 4 rebounds a game. And so you know when you're drafting a player like that in the early rounds of your fantasy basketball draft, what do I always talk about? We need to see great efficiency as well as we need to see a decent amount of points scored, where Donovan Mitchell is only averaging 20 points per game and he is shooting 37% from the field. That is just not going to get it done. I'll say here with Donovan Mitchell, I'm a little bit more willing to go out there and buy into him besides Devin Booker, because in the case of Devin Booker, he has way more name appeal. He was going earlier in drafts where I think he's still going to cost you a significant amount, where maybe whoever drafted Donovan Mitchell, on the other hand, they are looking to just get what they can. Maybe they realize, oh crap, I need some help in the rebounds. I need some help in assists. Let me see what I can move Donovan Mitchell for. He's still a player that is extremely young and has a ton of room to grow. So with Donovan Mitchell, I'll say we're not going to panic. I think that we could actually go out there and try to target him in a draft. All right, so now our next player was someone that I really did not know what to expect with coming into the year, and this is going to be Lonzo Ball. Okay, so clearly Lonzo Ball in 2019-2020 made that jump where he looked like he was finally the player that he was hyped up to be coming into the NBA, but a lot of those numbers were based on the fact that the Pelicans offense fit what they did so nicely, in that they were aggressively trying to push the ball down the court. They were aggressively trying to get to the basket very fast. They averaged near the very top of the NBA in possessions per game, where this is something that has definitely changed with the new head coach coming in. We are actually seeing this offense be much slower paced. We are seeing Lonzo average a ridiculous 33 minutes a game, which if you would hear that Lonzo had 33 minutes a game, you would naturally assume that we are going to be getting some decent numbers. But, I mean, he is not even averaging 15 points. The efficiency's not there. He's shooting 42% from the field. At least he's giving you decent production in the three-point category, giving you about 2.5 threes. But we know that what we were expecting with Lonzo is elite assist numbers, which have not even been there. I mean, he's averaging less than 5 assists a game, less than 5 rebounds a game as well. And I'll say a lot of people are going to be advising you to go buy Lonzo on the low based on the fact that he still fits that age profile, and we have seen it before. But with the overall scheme change of the team, with how the rotation looks, I honestly think that Lonzo is a player that it is time to panic on. I mean, clearly, he's still helping the New Orleans Pelicans in a significant way with what he brings to their rotation, but he's a player that I don't necessarily want on my fantasy team. All right, guys, so now let's address a player that was in the thumbnail that I tried to make this video yesterday, as I said, but we weren't able to, and since then, Steph Curry has gone ballistic. And this is why it's so important to try to look at some of these players who have started slow and try to identify what players we want to buy on the low. Because if you would have been sending out offers for Steph Curry about 5 days ago, I mean, yes, you would have still been paying a pretty penny, but nothing close to what he is worth now with the last 2 blow-up performances he's had. I mean, over 30 points a game now if you add on his last 2 games, shooting 46% from the field. And we know he is always going to be giving you elite numbers in the three-point category, averaging close to 5 three-pointers a game currently. I mean, Steph Curry obviously is not a player that we need to panic about or buy low right now because you can't. But it's a perfect example on why it's important to go out there and try to look at this prototype. All right, so now our next player that we're going to talk about is another very young player who is fantastic with the ball in his hands. This is going to be Jamal Murray. So y'all know Jamal Murray. I am a massive fan of him. I love what we've seen in terms of the rotation on that team. But the problem is the defense on the team, as well as Jamal Murray was overdrafted this season based on a very small sample size of the bubble. I know we all watched those bubble games. We watched him dominate, look like the next premier player at the NBA level. But what I talk about all the time, whether it's fantasy basketball, whether it's fantasy football, is trying to take a step back, trying to get as many data points into our sample as possible, not hyper-focusing in on a very small sample size. And I think that is what was done with Jamal Murray this past season. I think a lot of people saw that play in the bubble, decided to overdraft him. Now he's averaging less than 25 points a game, shooting 49% from the field, which is decent. But we know that the rebounds and the assists just aren't there. And I am so strongly advocating for y'all to be targeting the players that are going to be giving you decent assist numbers night in and night out, because that is a premium statistic. It's a lot easier to find points than it is to find assist. All right, guys. So the last guy we are going to talk about is going to be DAngelo Russell here. DAngelo Russell, very similar to all these other guys I was talking about. This is just a lesson on when you are drafting your fantasy basketball team to instead be looking at these elite scorers, try to be looking at the guys that are going to give you numbers in every single statistical category. With DAngelo Russell, he's not even averaging 20 points a game. We've had no Karl Anthony Towns on this team for a significant time now, so you would assume the usage would be through the roof for DAngelo Russell, and he should be seeing a significant amount of points. But the problem here is when you draft those point scorers, if they are not going to be putting up buckets on a consistent basis, I mean, they are just going to have to be disappointing because you cannot rely on the assist or the rebounds to come through on the other end. All right, guys, thank y'all so much for watching the video. Really hope y'all enjoyed it. Really hope that I was even able to get it up to YouTube. But yeah, that's it. I will be trying to get y'all another video tomorrow morning. And yeah, have a great day, guys, and I appreciate y'all.